be justifying, the slaughtering of animals or some other kind of crap. So to me, like I said, it's got is. I'm not saying it's as bad. I mean, it's socially not as bad, I guess. So for civilization, they're more reasonable people. Um, but again, it's doing the right thing for the right reason thing. I mean, you want people to do the right thing for the right reason. You don't want them to do it by accident. And it's almost like the deist is doing. I mean, the pantheist or whatever. It's like they're asking for trouble to use nature as the guide. Okay, because they're going to glorify a lot of mechanisms that aren't worth glorifying. I mean, evolution is not a good process. It's not efficient. you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about, for instance, Laura, Facts versus Religion. I know you don't like her, but she's not a pantheist. She's more of like Thunderfoot, a scientific pantheist, just likes the cosmos and the universe, and is not, we should follow the nature or we should worship the nature. They just revere the cosmos, sort of speak. But I mean, she's a vegetarian. She doesn't, there's not really an immediate connection between what you believe and what you do if your beliefs are so abstract.
Yeah, well, I only dislike her because of her tactics. I mean, I think she's just a lousy arguer. So it's not like I said. I don't find Thunderfoot's full. I don't think Thunderfoot is like, oh yeah, well he's going to implement all kinds of crazy policy or something. But I mean, he does build his morality out of this, like somehow this blueprint of this natural order thing. Like somehow there's a balance. Like somehow that balance is not inevitable. Um, well, I guess look, the bottom line is yeah, it comes down to I guess is these fundamental issues where they're not going to be, they're not going to organize their philosophies based on the thing that matters, which is the suffering component, and the thing that doesn't matter, which is all this personal ambition shit. So they glorify the individual ambition thing that I think is the most trivial part of our existence. I mean, it's like the
So what's
don't
this
worry, be
idea?
happy religion. Don't worry, be happy kind of bullshit that, just is so corrosive to humans taking responsibility for the mess we're in.
What's this virtual reality idea?
Oh, yeah, that's a real popular one, too. Well, in case we can't sanitize the planet of living things, and yes, we're still going to be here in some kind of civilized form, it would be sensible for us to maximize our conscious experience. This consciousness thing is very interesting, but let's admit it, it's all perceptual. We don't experience reality, we experience our model of reality, and we can augment that model. So in a virtual reality, we could fly, we can have 17 legs, we can be all kinds of different creatures living all kinds of different lives. We can completely wallow in our drives and desires, so we can completely get caught up in a fantastic cheese chasing maze that we can create in our own perception, that can be created in our perception. So instead of living in a stupid maze where people get cancer and die, and you got to worry about starving Chinese people, and where there's all kind of guilt, and your wife gets old, and all kinds of other burdens that exist in this real world, you can live in a perceptual world where you basically just hop from movie scene to movie scene, where you're James Bond one day, and the next day you're Plato, and the next day you're a flying mushroom, and just completely explore where your consciousness can go. So that's the ideal of it, and the point of it is it's a fail-safe environment. Nobody can kill you in virtual reality. There's no wacko can take his star cruiser and fly it into the planet. So you can live the Star Wars fantasy in a virtual reality where you could never access that reality if we don't have something like that, because the crazies will kill you.
All right, that reminds me of the movie Existence with what's his name? What's his name? I forget his name, but it was a movie based on having this virtual reality scenario where you play this game. But I don't want to give it away or spoil it if you haven't seen it. But if your idea is to get people into a virtual reality to satisfy their desires that they otherwise wouldn't have if they weren't in that situation, then this is a good movie to perhaps supplement your, little snatch of a philosophy about virtual reality. It's still a good movie if you just want to entertain yourself, but it might supplement your virtual reality philosophy. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it. But yeah, I don't need to really supplement it. I mean, there's lots of models for virtual reality, and they go to all kinds of extremes. There was that that Martian one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay, because you're never sure in that movie whether he was dreaming it, if he was still in the place you go to virtual reality, or whether he was actually went to Mars, Total Recall. Yeah, so I mean, but yeah, it gives you a piece of what it's like. You can be any character. You can play out any role. Any video game that can be played, you can play. Anything that can be imagined, you can experience. So there's no limit to where you can go. I mean, whether you want to be useful, constructive, you can do anything. You can take this world and just be this world exactly the way it is, except I have an e-cigarette looks just like Karina. Okay, I mean, it could be exactly the same kind of world. It's like a little e-cigarette with Karina's little face on it, and it pleases me. Yeah, I mean, so I'm just saying, but yeah, the point is we know what consciousness is. Consciousness is something that happens inside this little brain thing, and it is all made out of this thing called perception that isn't even real anyway. I mean, obviously it has a real component to it, a realistic component to it, because we have to function in the world in a practical way. But the point is it doesn't have to be. We don't have to perceive reality as it is and experience it differently. And we might as well. That's what. There's no point in leaving consciousness in mediocrity. Why should consciousness be sitting in an assembly line, screwing caps on bottles all day? That's a waste of consciousness.
Okay, so as I understand it, you're kind of like a strict physical or materialist in the sense that you say that the mind is the product of, neurochemicals doing their thing and creating this representation in the brain. What do you think of Matt's philosophy, wherein he talks about the noosphere and all these things? Because he's not a strict physicalist, if I'm correct. And what do you think about that?
Well, I think I've said what I think about
in regards
it. I mean, I don't want to
to
talk shit about Matt. I mean, I like Matt, but yeah, what he talks is shit. It's just complete fucking made up bullshit. I mean, the whole very concept that he can't make distinctions between organisms do have billions and billions of neurons and a pencil, and thinks they're both on some mission, the same mission, is just ludicrous. Okay, pencils aren't worried about doing anything. Matter isn't trying to unite with the universe and all this other crap. There isn't an aspiration. That's something that happens in a nervous system, and you have to have the neural components to make it happen, for it to happen. It's a phenomenon of this 3 pounds of shit. And so yeah, but it's just all babble. It has nothing to do with why we have a brain. We have a brain because it obliged us to function in the world, consume and reproduce. That's what it made us do effectively. That's why we have it. We don't have it to singularity. That's not nature's mission.
All right, I still kind of want to hash this out. I want to understand your perspective on.
I,
Uh, Go ahead.
well, I mean, it may sound really like rude, but I think Matt is desperate. I mean, I like him too, but I think he just has to put a meaning into things. I think he needs this this is, I mean, from watching his videos, I really think that his philosophy is something that he created because he really needs it in order to function. I mean, he used to be an atheist, I think.
It's psychology. That's all it is. It's psychology. I mean, you can see it in his videos. You can see where Matt was going right up to the edge of the cliff and acknowledging it's a material universe. Yeah, these stupid crude forces in control. God, that sounds really dismal. You know, suffering in the world, blood, guts. Oh yeah, this is not a good story. And he said, "Damn it, I need a better story than that because I can't fly in a world made out of that. I can't do anything. I can't interact in a positive way in that negative world." And so he had to do something to create a less negative world so he could function in it, because he couldn't be a fighter of negative. He wanted to be a pusher of positive. And so I understand that, but let's just acknowledge what it is. It's psychology, not philosophy. He decided to compromise the truth. And Professor Anton, I think, is in a lot of the same category. I don't think he believes the shit he says. He just tries to create this glorified image to try to hold up a chalice, the golden chalice of hope, to get people to chase something positive rather than run from something negative.
All right, Gary, I'm going to risk rebuke and talk about something I saw in your latest response to Professor Anton. Uh, Maybe I shouldn't even do this because I haven't watched enough of this guy's videos to really have a feel for where he's coming from, and you and he have a history, which I guess hold up the number of fingers for the number of years you and he have been going back. 1 year, 2 year, 3, 1 year. Okay, so I don't even know if I should comment on this, but I did think he made one good point, which is, and I know you responded to this, and I did listen. Unlike unlike your criticism of him for responding to one of your videos for only listening to the first 10 minutes of it, I do watch all your videos before, in their entirety before responding. But I know I'm going to get torn to shreds for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. He said that you're criticizing nature, but you are in fact part and parcel of nature. You're a component of it, and I found that to be self-evident, almost a tautology. So I did think that was one good point that he made in that video, but I know you objected to it strongly, so I'll pass the baton over to you and get my ass kicked.
Well, I'm not going to kick your ass over that. It's not a big deal. But I just don't see how it has anything to do with it. I mean, I didn't exist in the creation of the universe. I didn't decide to make myself. So wherever I am, number one, I wasn't, that intelligence wasn't part of the creation process. So we can still look at the creation process itself. And so, yeah, I'm not sitting around here glorifying what I am. So I guess I don't know. I don't see how. If I don't see glory in what I am. I'm psychologically addicted to a lot of things. I'm selfish by nature. I have intelligence that I use to scheme to get what I want. And the only thing that saves me is the fact that, yes, I can do abstract conceptualizations and I can understand principles. So I can understand that the other guy over there is equal to me. And that I couldn't do as an animal, but that I can do as a human being. I can understand his equality, and I can understand that I can't win at his expense. And so now it gets complicated. So now, I can be a civilized human. But without those things, there's nothing I would glorify about my own existence. So I just don't see how this argument means anything in the conversation. How is the fact that I was created by nature mean anything? They're still just tools. Nature created a scheming mind and a desiring heart and penis. Um, why should I think that means it's good? It doesn't mean it's good. It's the very mechanism that keeps us propelling through the mush.
Right, I got that, and I remember you said in that video you said that